What's going on, guys? Look, I know my hair low, right? I promise you I'm going to the barbershop. We're gonna get that taper. But look, on a serious note, I seen this, and I normally don't do this. But lately there's been a number of people committing suicide, right? That's been in the media. The first thing some people do, when someone, commits suicide, they want to jump online and try to tell you the six dimensions, the six symptoms of depression are. Cut that mess out, bro. Cut that mess out. It's disrespectful to the person who just lost their life, and it's disrespectful to the family members and friends of the person who just lost their life. Stop making people who lose their life a number or a statistic. That's part of the reason why the stigma's there. That's part of the reason why people who are battling with depression, who are having suicidal ideation, don't tell nobody. They don't want to be another number. They don't want to be another test subject. I'm tired of that mess. Cut that mess out. The five symptoms, the five traits. Depression doesn't show up often how the book says it shows up. Because we individual people. And not only that, but we live in America. And one of the things we've been taught to do in America very well since we were kids was how to put on that mask, and we wear it very well. So most people, the reason why we losing the battle, when it comes to suicide rates, the reason why we losing the battle on this mental illness thing is because most people who experience these things experience them differently than what we are necessarily looking for. If you're waiting for somebody to isolate themselves, let me reword that. If you're waiting to notice that someone isolated themselves before you check in on somebody, oftentimes you late. You late. When I was going through my depression, I isolated myself. And about time people realized I had isolated myself, I was in deep depression. I'm gonna be real with you. About time people realized I isolated in the moment where I almost took my life, people didn't even realize I isolated myself. To be frank, when I had isolated myself, you know what I got called? A bum. By the time and what bothers me is I had turned on YouTube and looking up things about the lady who just jumped off the building, and I think it's Cheslie Kryst, and as I'm scrolling through and I'm looking, one of the first things that pop up is a mental health advocate, getting on the news, and wants to talk about what the steps of the symptoms of depression is. And what tripped me out as I continue, and one of the things she talked about, one of the first things she talks about was when someone's isolating themselves. And right away I could tell, okay, you telling me something you read online or you read in a book. You ain't talking about real life, right? Because what tripped me out about that, she wants to talk about, one of the biggest things to look for is someone isolating themselves. When it came to this young lady, her friends literally said, we were just kicking it with her a little while before. I think it was a day or two before the incident happened, and she seemed just fine. She was laughing. She was joking. We were writing stuff down and carving stuff into things. Bro, and I saw this before, I think it was like last year, with a lady who jumped off the bridge. And she typing things about her baby father and how he ain't doing this and how she feels alone. And she's tweeting this stuff. And ain't nobody calling. And when it got time for her to commit the act, one of the last things she said was, nobody cares. We have to take the initiative. Stop laying back and waiting. We have to take the initiative to reach out to our loved ones, to reach out to our friends, and ask them how they doing. Check up on them. And here's another thing. I'm sorry. Like I said, I normally don't go into a rant like this, but this one's really bothering me. When you ask someone how they doing, mean it. Like for some reason, I don't know where we get this from, but we get on like asking someone how they doing as a formality. We ask them how they doing, and we expect for them to say, "Oh, I'm doing all right." We ask how they doing, and we don't really want to know the answer. There was a study out where a guy was walking around, and when someone asked him, "How you doing?" he would say, "Man, I've been going through it these past few weeks, man. It's been rough." And most of the time, the person's response was like, they didn't know what to say because they wasn't expecting that answer. And when they did respond, it was, "Oh, you'll be all right." And they wanted to hurry up and get out of there. They wasn't ready for that answer, and they didn't really want to know how this person was doing. We losing the fight when it comes to mental health right now. We losing the fight when it comes to suicide rates. I'm seeing them steady. I know most people are not reporting when they battling with depression. I know that some suicides are not being reported as suicide. So we have to get to this point where we're making a trend and we're actually starting to win this battle on mental health. And so how do we do that? First thing we have to do is we have to be genuine when we ask someone how they doing. Second thing we have to do is point blank, we have to start being good people. Speak life into people. Stop speaking negative. Man, my mama used to tell me all the time, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. What happened? What happened to that? If we don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Start speaking life into people. Start building genuine relationships. Stop trying to use people. It trips me out. We in this day and age, everybody trying to get to the bag. Everybody trying to use somebody. Would you want to come on my podcast? Would you want to do this and you do that? And you trying to use people for leverage. We got to cut that out. You building relationships with people based off of what they can do for you. And you don't think people see that? Start being genuine good people. We fight this. We start to win this war, this battle with mental health by first checking ourselves and how we treat others. And most importantly, by checking ourselves and how we treat ourselves. Let me tell you something. Love is a powerful drug. And love conquers all. And when you're loving yourself, when a person is loving themselves and pouring positivity into themselves, being genuine in their interactions and loving in their interactions, that stuff it's infectious. Have you ever seen someone who they just got this energy about them? It just radiates about them, and people just are drawn to them. They love being around them. They love talking to them. We have to stop doing things out of spite, out of hate, and for clout. So I'm gonna be real. I don't want to hear. I don't want to see. I don't want to see nobody else up there talking about the 5 symptoms of depression is. I get the sense of awareness. I get that we're trying to build a sense of awareness, right? But what I would love to see more is when someone passes away because of suicide, I would love to see, I want people on the phone with their loved ones, checking in and see how they doing. Better yet, if you don't know their loved ones, I would love to see people checking in on their loved ones. Stop jumping on social media. Stop jumping on the news, trying to get your clout. Shoot your loved one a text. Call the people who, hey man, I ain't talked to my mom. I ain't talked to so-and-so in a few days. Give them a call. Because they might be going through something you ain't never thought. Let me tell you something. When I've talked to people and they told me that they having anxiety attacks or they going through it, they might be battling a little bit of depression. Most of these warning signs y'all talk about, they weren't there. And here's the big thing. Most of them didn't reach out to me. I reached out to them. If I didn't reach out to them, I would have never known they was going through it. And so oftentimes we hear people pass away and we like, I didn't know. Because we never got on the phone. We never showed up in person. We never checked on them. And I'm not trying to say it's your fault. But what I am saying is ask yourself, am I really doing all I can? Or am I just doing what makes me feel good? Depression is a dangerous drug, man. It's a dangerous drug. And the reason why I call it a drug is because it talks to you. It talks to you just like a drug. You know how you ever been craving sweets? And even though you know you don't need to be eating sweets, you going off and you trying to, I need to do something healthy, right? But that Snickers bar just keep calling you. It's talking to you. That's depression. That's anxiety. That's suicidal ideation. Let's cut out the clout chasing. Let's stop being in the mental health field, trying to get to a bag. And let me say this: I feel for the therapist. I feel for my therapist because they trying, but they can only do so much. You ever when you try to book a therapy appointment, how long it typically take? When I started going back to therapy, I tried to book my therapist appointment. It was about a month before they had an opening. They swamped. They can't fight this battle on their own, and they shouldn't have to. When you say you love the person you with, you say you love your kids, you love your friends, then let's stop saying it and let's start showing it. Let's start acting like it. That's how we drastically drop these numbers. That's how we start seeing less people being hindered by depression. Start being the support system around the people you say you love and care about. And start being nice and genuine to the people you don't even know. Stop clout chasing. Stop just being out here trying to use people to get a bag, and be genuine in your interactions. That's how we fight the stigma. And that's how we bring about change.